An eccentric elderly man named Boris discusses religion and communism with his friends. Boris then turns to us, the audience, about to tell his story. He warns that it will not be a comedy. Boris recalls waking up early one morning from another panic attack. He is comforted by his wife Jessica, who is a very wealthy woman. Boris teaches string theory at the university. It seems to him that he is one of the few people who are aware of the inscrutability of the universe. This is the reason for his fear. Being in a state of panic, Boris reminds Jessica of her adultery, which happened many years ago. In a burst of emotion, he opened the window and stepped down. In the present, Boris tells that he survived, spent many months in the hospital and became lame. It was after this incident that the man made the decision to divorce Jessica. Boris moonlighted by teaching children to play chess. However, he did not know how to find a common language with them. In the evenings, Boris preferred to discuss with his friends on various topics. Suddenly an indignant woman came in, telling Boris that he was behaving inappropriately, insulting her young son during his chess lessons. However, Boris did not feel guilty and did not apologize, considering that the boy was stupid. As Boris was returning home, he was called by a girl who asked for food. The girl said she hadn't eaten since this morning and had nowhere to go. Despite his bad temper, Boris let her into the house. Now he lives not in a luxurious mansion, but in a miserable apartment. The girl's name is Melody and she is from Mississippi. Melody used to act in the theater, but then she left home and came to New York in search of a better life. Boris advises her to return home, but the girl is not going to back down. When Melody asked permission to stay the night, Boris thought it was a bad idea. He did not believe that the girl was 21 years old. He is also convinced that Melody would not survive in New York. However, the girl continues to put pressure on Pity, saying that she needs to stay somewhere for a while before she earns money. Boris gives in after all, allowing her to stay. The friends who have learned of what has happened gossip about Boris, who has placed the beauty in his house. Meanwhile, Boris was showing Melody around New York. It turned out that she came from a religious family. Melody behaved quite openly and revealed that she had done things that were unacceptable from a religious point of view. Boris was even embarrassed by such frankness. Later, they bought pies at the bakery and continued their walk. At night, Boris woke up with a panic attack. Melody began to calm him down and suggested they watch TV together. In the afternoon, they walked again and admired the Statue of Liberty. Boris was surprised to realize that Melody was a very sociable girl. Boris said that he used to teach quantum mechanics. Melody talked non-stop and made Boris very tired over the couple of days. Later, he complained about the girl to his friends. But the man also admitted that he found her attractive. At home, Melody listened to music and cooked a meal, wanting to surprise Boris. When he arrived, the girl gave him the good news: she got a job as a dog walker. Boris doesn't think this is serious. In his opinion, Melody should go home. Suddenly Boris realized that the music Melody was listening to was familiar to him. It was the same song he had heard the first time he had met Jessica at a dance. That was a long time ago, when they were at university. When Melody confessed to Boris that she was infatuated with him, he replied that it was out of the question. He thought it was absurd, because they had nothing in common, not to mention the age difference. In addition, Boris wants to continue to live alone. He advises Melody to find a young man her own age. Until then, she can stay with him for a while longer. Melody was upset by the rejection because she thought Boris was a very interesting man. From the next day on, the girl began walking dogs to earn money. She met a cute guy named Perry on the street. A nice conversation ensued between them. The guy suggested that Melody go for a walk. Later, the girl told Boris about it. Perry set up a date for her Friday at 8 o'clock. Boris advised Melody to be careful. On Friday night, Melody wore her most colorful outfit. Boris said she looked provocative, but the girl didn't see anything wrong with that. When Perry arrived, Melody introduced him to Boris. The guy at first thought the man was her grandfather. Before the couple left, Boris asked Melody to be vigilant. The young people went to a bar for a concert, and Boris met with friends. He was philosophizing as usual. When Boris returned home, Melody was still gone. Boris felt very lonely. Soon drunken Melody came in, confessing that the date had not gone well. She didn't like Perry and his friends, with whom she didn't even have anything to talk about. Boris stared at the girl for a long time. He finds it amazing that he and Melody met at all. From the standpoint of the theory of probability, it was almost impossible. Soon Boris and Melody were married. Surprisingly, their family life was going well. Unlike ambitious Jessica, Melody was caring and kind. They go to the cinema once a week. Melody also goes with her husband to the hospital when his hypochondriacal episodes worsen. Boris feels like a happy man. One day there was a knock on the door. Marietta, Melody's mother, stood on the doorstep. The girl wondered how the mother had found her. Turns out the family was looking all over for Melody. Marietta was horrified by the squalid apartment. But the woman was even more shocked when she learned that her daughter was married. But for Melody, it was the perfect life. She had once run away from the overbearing mother, who gave her no choice and decided everything for her. Boris came out of the restroom. On seeing him, Marietta fainted. The daughter brought her to senses. Marietta thought it couldn't get any worse, but she was wrong. When the woman learned that Boris was an atheist, she thought her daughter had lost mind. Marietta pulled herself together and told that the husband had left her for the best friend. He also lost his job and got into debt. Because of this they had to sell the house. Now Marietta had nowhere to live, so she stayed with the daughter and her husband. Meeting with their friend Leo, Marietta talked about the importance of religion. As the woman retreated to the restroom, a guy named Randy called out to her. He was interested in the woman's daughter. Back at the table, Marietta suggested that the daughter go for a walk and took her to the wax museum. The mother began to tell Melody that Boris was not worthy of her. She also talked about Randy, who in her opinion was a very promising suitor. However, Melody does not want to hear anything about it. In the evening, Leo called Marietta and made a date with her. After the conversation, the woman began to pray. Soon they went on a date. At dinner, Leo told that he teaches philosophy at the university. Marietta in turn spoke about her passion for photography. Leo found her pictures stunning and said he wanted to show it to his friend who owns the gallery. Leo kept his promise. The gallerist appraised her photos. In order to get the pictures displayed in the gallery, Marietta dated Leo and his friend at the same time. Marietta completely changed her image. All her ingrained beliefs were shattered. The woman set things up so that Randy and Melody supposedly met by chance. Randy, who is an actor, began to pay attention to the girl, telling her that the elderly husband was not her match. The guy also gave Melody a handkerchief and confessed that he fell in love with her at first sight. Melody said that she is absolutely happy in marriage. Randy and the mother tried to convince her otherwise, but the girl didn't want to continue the conversation. Later, Melody goes for a bike ride with her husband. She doesn't like that Boris grumbles about everything, thinking that he is smarter than everyone around him. The girl lied that she had bought the handkerchief herself at the market. In the evening, Marietta was on the phone with Randy, saying that her daughter would be at the mall tomorrow. That's where they met the next day. A conversation ensued between them. Melody talked about her husband, whom she considers a genius. Boris's greatest flaw is that he doesn't like people. Later, Randy showed Melody his boat and offered her a drink. The girl doesn't understand why she agreed to come here. She didn't expect Randy to kiss her at all. Melody realizes she's doing it wrong, but she couldn't resist the handsome guy. Passion arose between them. When Melody came home, she felt unbearable guilt for having cheated on her husband. Boris immediately noticed that something was wrong with his wife. There was a knock on the door. John, Melody's father, was standing on the doorstep. He had come to apologize to his ex-wife. He regretted leaving Marietta for her best friend Mandy. John knelt down and began to pray. Melody confessed that the mother had completely changed her way of life. Now she is not religious and does what she loves. Today John was going to meet his ex-wife after a year of separation. That same day, Melody confessed to Boris that she had met another man and fallen in love with him. She hoped that she would be able to maintain her friendship with Boris. He understood that sooner or later it had to happen. Melody misses socializing with people and new emotions, so she made the right decision. In the evening, John was drinking at a bar. He was approached by a man who had also been abandoned. Only not a wife, but a husband. This was unacceptable to John. However, after listening to Howard's story, he felt sympathy for him. John confessed that he had left his wife for her best friend, but nothing had come of it. Now Melody is happy with Randy, and Boris is alone. He went out the window again, but that attempt was also unsuccessful. Boris fell on a woman and her dog, but was unharmed. The woman ended up in the hospital. She told Boris that everyone's actions affect others. However, Boris did not change his opinion, believing that humanity was doomed. But he was still sorry for what had happened. He didn't expect Helena to invite him to dinner when she got better. Some time has passed. Now John, who used to be a hardened conservative, is dating Howard, seeing a psychiatrist and preparing to convert to Judaism. John has also made friends with his ex-wife and her boyfriends. Melody is happy with Randy, and Boris is happy with Helena. Today they are all celebrating the new year together. They each found what they were looking for. Boris used to hate this holiday, but now everything has changed.